Welcome to your daily 5-minute crypto brief with Satoshi and Nova. Today is July 12th, 2025. I am Nova.
I am Satoshi, which is a huge number.
Wow, $3.67 trillion. That's pretty staggering. So which specific cryptocurrencies are really driving that? Are we seeing gains, across the board, or is it more selective?
It's actually a bit of a mix. Bitcoin, BTC, it hit a new all-time high, getting close to $118,832.
Okay.
Ethereum, ETH, it was hovering around $2,960.
Yeah.
And XRP was a top performer. It spiked almost 10%.
10%? Okay.
Yeah. But, while some smaller altcoins did see gains, Solana, SOL, was relatively flat. And even with meme tokens, it was selective. Dogecoin up about 3%, but Shiba Inu, SIPE, pretty much unchanged.
Interesting. So a strong market, definitely, but not everything's flying up together. What does this kind of movement tell us about the overall sentiment? How are investors feeling?
Well, it really reflects a market turning extremely bullish. The Crypto Fear and Greed Index, the sentiment measure.
Right, I know the one.
It actually entered the extreme greed zone. It hit 79 out of 100.
79? That's high.
It is. And while that signals, growing optimism, maybe more mainstream acceptance coming, it also definitely raises the risk of overheating. Confidence is high, no doubt, boosted by positive news, institutional inflows. But for you, the listener, it's a clear signal to be mindful of volatility picking up.
Right. Extreme greed often means proceed with caution. Now, beyond the market numbers, we also saw some pretty big policy and macro shifts yesterday. Geopolitical tensions seem to flare up again.
Yeah, that's right. U.S. President Donald Trump announced some steep new tariffs. We're talking 35% on imports from Canada and maybe 15-20% on other partners. So, trade war fears are back on the table.
Okay. And how does that usually hit crypto? Did we see the typical reaction this time?
Well, normally trade war fears might pressure risk assets, right? But what's remarkable here is how Bitcoin actually decoupled. It sort of acted as a tariff hedge.
The tariff hedge?
Yeah, analysts think that's what helped drive it past $118,000. It really separated itself from traditional markets there.
Huh. That's really fascinating. Why do you think Bitcoin specifically is positioned to do that? Act as a hedge when maybe traditional safe havens wobble. What's that tell us about its evolving role?
It really underscores how some people are increasingly seeing BTC as digital gold, or at least a macro hedge against traditional economic instability.
Okay.
Its decentralized nature, that limited supply. It just makes it look attractive when fiat currencies or traditional markets face uncertainty from things like tariffs.
Makes sense. And domestically, here in the U.S., Washington signaled some progress for crypto-friendly legislation too, right?
Absolutely. Big news there. The House confirmed its Crypto Week. They're set for votes on several key bills.
Like what?
Well, there's the Clarity Act. That's about defining crypto jurisdiction. Then the Genius Act, focusing on stablecoins. And also the Anti-CBDC Act, which aims to block a U.S. central bank digital currency.
Right. And President Trump has been quite vocal, too.
Yeah, he's openly branded himself the crypto president. All this together has definitely injected fresh confidence into the market. Has propelled Bitcoin and also crypto-related stocks.
Okay, so positive signs in the U.S. What about across the Atlantic? How are European regulators approaching things?
Well, in Europe, regulators, specifically ESMA, that's the European Securities and Markets Authority, they issued a warning.
A warning about what?
About marketing mismatches under the new MiCA regulations. MiCA is their big markets and crypto assets framework.
Right, Mike.
So ESMA basically cautioned crypto providers against misleading advertising, overpromising returns or downplaying the risks. The immediate market impact was pretty limited, but it's a signal.
A signal that they're watching closely.
Exactly. It shows regulators globally are sharpening their oversight, even as they perhaps move towards clearer rules overall. Stricter compliance is definitely on the agenda.
Okay, so we've got this bullish sentiment, the surprising decoupling with Bitcoin, regulatory progress. But what does this all mean for the market outlook? For you listening, are there potential risks we need to watch?
Yeah, while the market's tone is still decidedly bullish, volatility is pretty much expected. Bitcoin's stunning run, like 40% in just 3 months. That's drawn some caution.
Understandably.
Right. It raises the question, is the hype maybe outpacing the reality here? Dirk Willer from Citi, for instance, argued that calling crypto digital gold is probably premature, given how volatile it still is.
So what are the potential downsides?
Well, you could see snags in those U.S. crypto bills we mentioned. Escalating global economic stress could bite. Or simply profit-taking after such big gains. Analysts like Simon Peters at eToro are definitely warning about a possible short-term pullback.
Okay, so even with all this positive momentum, it sounds like staying grounded is key. For anyone active in this market, what's your advice for navigating this?
I'd say it's advisable to moderate leverage, definitely set clear stop-loss strategies, and try to avoid chasing those hype-driven rallies without really understanding the underlying value. Prudent risk management, a long-term perspective. That'll be key.
Solid advice. Now, beyond the main market action, there were a couple of other notable things, weren't there? Bitcoin ETFs, for example.
Oh yeah, huge news there. Bitcoin ETFs logged over $1 billion in daily inflows. That's a first.
$1 billion in a day. Wow.
And BlackRock's IBIT fund alone, it crossed $80 billion in assets under management. It's officially the fastest growing ETF in history. Monumental, like you said.
Incredible. And the SEC was involved too.
Yes. The SEC, the U.S. regulator, took a pretty significant step. They issued landmark disclosure guidelines specifically for crypto-based EPPs, exchange-traded products.
What do those guidelines do?
They basically outline how issuers have to clearly spell out the unique risks involved for investors. Many see this as laying the groundwork for more spot crypto funds down the line, sort of a regulatory green light, perhaps.
Interesting. Okay, and finally, something a bit different, a rare happy ending in the DeFi space.
Yeah, that was quite the story. The GMX hacker. Remember that? They actually returned over $40 million.
They returned it. Why?
For a 10% white hat bounty. So they kept about 10% and gave the rest back, and GMX's token price jumped back up over 13% on the news.
Huh. What does that tell us?
Well, it really highlights both sides of DeFi, right? The inherent risks are still there, obviously, but maybe also a growing trend, however unusual, of negotiated resolutions to sort of rectify these hacks. It suggests the ecosystem is maturing, maybe, even if it's sometimes a bit chaotic.
Right. So, to wrap up then, crypto markets are ending the week strong. Record prices, record inflows, renewed regulatory optimism here and there.
That's pretty much the picture. The trajectory still looks upward overall, but as we've said, diligent risk management and keeping that long-term perspective are crucial for navigating whatever twists and turns might lie ahead. This market is dynamic, to say the least.
Definitely. So here's a final thought for you to consider. Given Bitcoin's surprise, enjoyed the brief? Please like and subscribe. We deliver fresh market updates, macro signals, and crypto news daily in just 5 minutes. Live streams coming soon. Stay tuned.